Good morning, guys. Automotive Inc. here. So, finally got the steps in. They took about 2 weeks. I'll put a link in the description and where you can find these guys. I've ran these tube steps before, or running boards, whatever you want to call them. They look very similar to the Chevy ones. They're just not 700 bucks. These are under 250, and I would say the difficulty level on installing them is probably a 2. You need one tool. An extra set of hands would be nice, but it's not a requirement by any means. But yeah, so check that out, because these boards, even though this is a 24 and there's not a lot of stuff technically out for the 24 when it comes to accessories and whatnot, it's the same truck basically as 20, 21, 22, and 23. So no sweat there. So there is the part number, but it'll be easiest just to click the link in the description. Again, it's going to give you all the parts. They give you anti-spin bolts and stuff like that, some backup, some very simple instructions and everything like that. But really, you're going to need a probably a 12 millimeter socket and or box end wrench if you have one. And then we're going to start on the passenger side just because that's what I unwrap first. But the instructions are pretty simple. All right, so pretty plain and simple. You can see right here on the instructions. These little square cutouts are basically these pieces in the frame. Now, some people knock some of these running boards because you only have 3 brackets per side. Some of them have 4. I have never experienced any issue with 3 or 4 or whatever. My F-150 only had 2, and I think the General only has 2 also. So I guess cheat your own. They do feel plenty secure. So we're gonna get my flat blade screwdriver out. We're gonna pry these out. Like I said before, guys, so some of these clips, you can start them with a flat blade, but they're just body retaining clips like we've seen on some other videos. I save these even though I have hundreds of them, because you just never know. But I do appreciate how they put the they already weld the actual threaded piece already in there anymore. That's just nice. But some of these other ones are a little bit more difficult. So this is where those body retaining tools, they're like interior panel removal tools, come in. So you can see how nice that was. Basically, I started the edge with the screwdriver, and then I just pull this up. And one thing's nice about this is this won't mar the edges either, because it just gets a good bite on it. I'll put a link in the video also to some cheap sets of these. They're like $7, and man, they are going to make your life so much easier, because there's so many like plastic retaining clips out there on this truck. So set that aside. All right. All right, guys, so if you buy this exact set, I'm going to show you the holes. So the instructions, you'll see these round plugs kind of on there, and you're going to have to use a little bit of imagination, I guess, if you will, to do it. Now, these are all extra holes for running boards. So again, I would just put them where the instructions say, but if you flipped them here, I guess it's probably not a big deal. But as you can work your way back, you can see there's another set, and then there's 2 sets back there, and we're going to go with the back 2 holes on this set. So I've already removed all of the plugs, and then you're just going to repeat the process on the other side. There's nothing really different there. Yeah, I'll definitely put links to everything in there. And underneath here, if it's a sunny day, you probably won't need any extra light, but if not, I do like these little magnet lights that are rechargeable, and they put out 3 different levels of lighting. But let me go get some brackets and some bolts here. All right, so pretty plain and simple, guys. If you want to use Threadlock on there, you can. I'll put a link to that in the description. Basically, everything you're going to need to do this, and you can do it for probably under 250 bucks. And this stuff will last you forever. You don't need to use a ton of that crap. As long as you torque the bolts in, you don't need to use that. Just remember, blue is kind of temporary, and red is permanent Threadlock. So don't use red on anything that you don't you'd anticipate ever have to replace or remove, because that'll suck. All right, guys, so we got 2 of the brackets installed so far. Again, this piece of the bracket needs to be up against the frame, so there's a little bit of adjustment. You can see these are cut out bigger, so you can adjust them around. But this has to be up against this, so leave this one a little bit looser. Get this one basically tightened down, and then remember the passenger side orientation. At least on this kit, these tabs need to be facing towards the front of the truck. So I'm going to get in the back here, and we're going to install the last bracket real quick. All right, so once you have those three installed, that's basically how it's going to look right there. Now, they say to leave them kind of loose until you get them lined up. I'll agree with that in some extent, because if you leave them super loose, it's just a mess. It's a pain. It's hard to get all that stuff done. But as long as you leave them fairly tight, you'll be good right there. So now we're going to get the board, and we're going to slide that on. All right, guys. So the boards are the same either side. So whichever one you pull out of the box, it's not really relevant. At least in this kit. If you do get a different one and they're specific, then that is what it is. These are all going to come pre-assembled and tightened, so you're just going to take these out. But my suggestion is before you get them close, before you take them all out, because they're going to be bunched up here, is kind of line them up where you kind of estimate where your brackets are at. It'll make it much easier to try and get them moved around. But you can have a small flat blade screwdriver to get them kind of lined up. So I'm going to put just a little dab of Threadlock on there. It says in the instructions, it doesn't say anything about Threadlock, but if you don't use Threadlock, then just like anything, you're probably going to need to just check and make sure it doesn't rattle loose over time. The probability of it's low, but the possibility is there. So let's get these on. All right, guys, once we get the board set up there, this is going to be whatever your preference is. You want to slide it all the way forward until it's close to there. You want to slide it all the way back. I try and shoot the difference, meaning, you know, when somebody's climbing in here, do they have full advantage to this step plate? I mean, nobody's going to be stepped right there because the speaker's here, but you can kind of see, and then do the same thing on the back door here. Does the person get in have the opportunity to step mostly on this pad? You know, if you look at the Ford over there with the OEM ones, it's about where this would be. So, but again, if you really wanted to move them back, you can move them back to however you want. Me personally, like I said, I'd rather have more of this board sticking forward just because of ice and mud and whatnot. It's going to catch that and keep it away right there. So for my purposes, I'm going to line this piece right up here with this. Or if you want to find another reference point, you can kind of just move it to right about there. So where this line kind of meets that right there. And see how that line kind of goes down there. So just going to keep that right there. And now it's time to get these tightened up. All right, guys, so there is no known torque specs in the instructions. So my suggestion is get these tight. Keeping in mind the ones on the boards themselves, you don't need to over tighten and stuff like that. You don't need to use a torque wrench. So I used Loctite or blue thread locker on there. So I don't anticipate these coming loose at any point, but what I will do is I will come back and check them later. Again, once you get done, just make sure that they line up where you wanted them before that thread lock sets up. If you guys want chrome, this set does come in chrome. I think the price is identical. And if the motif of this truck is all black and very little chrome except for the badges, but I like these black ones. Again, as for weather and getting wet and stuff like that, they're pretty grippy. Are they as good as OEM ones? You know, the jury's gonna be out on that, because that's a subjective thing. If the manufacturer is making a great product, then it should be superior to anything aftermarket. However, the General's chrome running boards already have some areas where they're kind of hazing. And so I've had really good luck with these. They look good after a year or two. And to be honest with you, the way they put salt and stuff on the roads these days, man, I don't know. You just upkeep, like keeping them clean and keeping that crap off there is what's going to help. But this is a must-have accessory as far as I'm concerned, because this truck is a beast to get into. Yeah, it kind of takes away some of the coolness of it, but I'm going to get the other one on and we'll come back to this. All right, guys, that wraps up the install. So with me filming, stopping to explain what's going on, everything like that, maybe a half hour max. If you have an extra hand, you know, a young kiddo that can help you out, your wife, whatnot, your husband that can help you out, put these on, whatever. You're probably looking 15 minutes max, and that's if you have all the extra tools. Like I said, you can get those little body plugs out with a flat blade screwdriver. I just recommend having that upholstery tool. Again, it's so cheap, and you'll use that all over this vehicle and many others. Threadlock, stuff like that. Yeah, it's a pretty easy, pretty inexpensive way to do it. Again, I'm going to put everything that I used to install it in the description. You can click the links, go right to the Zon, and purchase them, or find another kit that you like just like it. This company that makes these specific boards, they make a ton of other ones. I've had good luck with the black ones and the chrome ones, but they also make some other ones that are a little more like aggressive looking off-road-esque. And as for keeping the snow down and everything like that, these actual mud splash guards that Chevy puts on here do a really good job of keeping the ice to a minimum. But if you live in a snowy climate, it's going to get where it's going to get. But they are very grippy, and they do hold up very well as long as you can keep them clean and spray waxed here and there. I think you'll get several years out of this very inexpensive but must-have option. All right, guys, look down there in the corner, hit the subscribe button. Got some good towing content coming up. Got some more LED light bulb swaps on this to do. And if you like the video, hit like and the notification bell so you know when I'm posting new stuff. All right, thanks a lot, guys. See you on the next one.